I feel like I may have cracked the code into picking NBA player props. So get hyped around this one because I'm going to be dropping some knowledge. If that sounds interesting to you, let's get into it.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.
What's up everyone, and thank you for clicking on this video. I also want to thank the 50 new subscribers that we've had in the last 24 hours. We're on the road for 1,000 subs by the time the NBA playoffs start, so hopefully you like what you see and you sub for more juicy content. In my last video, I shared with you all the model that I've been working on to help me pick the best legs for NBA player props. I mentioned that the model takes into account factors like lineup changes, recent form, performance against the opponent, minutes played, home and away performance, their rest between games, and the expected pace of the upcoming game. I decided to put my model to the test, and I picked 5 legs using this model. Unfortunately, the results weren't as successful as I'd hoped for, and I finished 2 from 3, so a losing day for us. As you can see, we didn't crush it out of the gate, but I always knew that adjusting my model was going to take some time, so I decided to accelerate the process by assessing every starting player from all of the games played today. I looked into their lines for points, rebounds, and assists, entered all that data into my model, and I did this to try to understand why some players do better than others, rather than just focusing on when the model makes mistakes and trying to figure out why. So I pretty much reverse engineered this whole process to speed things up a little bit. So in summary, I researched the line of 100 players. These were all the players who were in the starting lineup of the 10 games that were just played and recorded everything. So I focused my attention on the players who had a significant overperformance of 25% or more on their props. And here's what I found. From the 100 players, 30 of them outperformed one or more of their prop lines by 25% or more. The main inputs I used were matchup, lineup changes, recent form, opponent form, minutes, home and away, rest impacts, and pace and totals. So I'm about to share the juicy results with you, but I want you to have a think about it to yourself. Which one of these factors do you think would be the most important? Because my assumptions were completely off. So if you've ever seen my recent videos, you would see the depth of analysis that I'd put in for every single pick. Every pick I mentioned included how the opposition team defends the position I was picking. Well, one of the biggest surprises for me was that the matchup was the least significant factor in deciding whether the player was to outperform their lines. From 30 players who overachieved, only 10 of them, 33% of them, had a favorable matchup today. So this had always been the starting point for my picks, but it turns out it's not as important as I thought. I know I'm not the only one. I've seen plenty of others operate this way, and I get it. It makes sense logically. For example, if Utah gives up the most points in the league to point guards, then Dame Lillard has a great chance at dropping 60 points if he's hot like he did today. But in reality, over the last 15 games, Utah allows the 4th least points to point guards per game across the league. Another key takeaway was that the input for minutes, meaning the players have seen an increase in their minutes per game in their last 5 compared to their season average. This was the #1 factor, meaning 93% of these players had it in common who exceeded their props by 25% or more. So from the 30 players who did, 28 of them met this criteria. So this could be from lineup changes, injuries, or even the coaches playing them more minutes. I guess the way I see it, the books aren't sure where the line should be set, given this player has no consistent historical data for them to rely on, and they can't be that sharp with them lines. Lastly, pace and totals were also extremely important factors. 90% of the players who made my list all happened to be playing in a game which suited their prop. So the games which had higher set lines, like the Magic, Pacers, that saw heaps of players overachieve in points and assists, whilst lower scoring games like the Bucks and Nuggets saw more players overachieving their rebounds. So if you can successfully identify what the total points outcome of a game is going to be, it'll make picking your NBA props a lot easier. Other factors such as recent form, form against opponent, whether they're home and away, rest between games, they're all somewhat important, but they all tallied at about 50 to 60% range. So the most important ones that I can take away from this: really assess those minutes and really look into whether the game's going to be high scoring or not, because those are going to be very impactful for your player props. And stop looking at the matchup so much. The matchup, it's not the most important one, unfortunately for me. I hope these insights were as helpful for you as it was for me. I spent all my normal research time for NBA props into creating this video for you guys and breaking through the data. So I don't have any props to share right now. I will, however, leave the props in the comments section if I do find some time. So let me know in the comment section whether this was helpful for you. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see how these picks perform moving forward after I've implemented what I've learned today. So I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.